Hey guys, so I'm actually kind of like cutting this from a different video. I was filming a video and realized that it was way too long. So the previous video I posted, I think I might have talked about like I was gonna do haul, and then I didn't because I was like, I have so many books and it needs to be a video all on its own. So here I am, here's the haul. We're gonna go ahead and insert the clips that I've already taken, and then we're gonna get back to now, if that makes any sense. You won't make a difference to you. I'm just saying this for myself when I'm editing, that I can remember to do that. So, enjoy the haul. I have gotten a lot of books. So, okay, here's the thing. I didn't, like, get any books at all, like, over the shutdown. Like, at all. I didn't go book shopping. I didn't shop online. Like I said, I was really busy with other things. Working my business, my main thing, also dealing with health stuff, really took up a lot of my time, and so I wasn't reading, so I wasn't buying books. So I'm like, oh, also I'm a huge library reader, almost to the point where it's not good because I neglect my physical TBR way too much to go to the library. Same with like audiobooks and stuff. Like I listen to audiobooks constantly, and so I don't read physically as much, which is a problem because I have so many books. I think I have like my physical TBR, I think, and this is not including like sequels, this is not including nonfiction, this is not including any of that, is like 225 books, something like that. Obviously there's more, but like we're not counting other things. Anyways. So yeah, I haven't bought any books in probably about a year. Well, I mean, let's just say that like maybe April or May 2020 was the last time I bought any books. And so I recently got back into reading again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, books. I need books. I'm like, went on this book thing of like, I haven't had books in so long that all of a sudden I'm just like, I need all the books, right? And I went to Half Price Books for the very first time. They just opened up a Half Price Books in Boise, Idaho, which is where my boyfriend lives. I live in Portland, Oregon. My boyfriend lives in Boise, Idaho. We don't have Half Price Books here in Oregon. I don't think anywhere in Oregon, really. I think the closest one is Idaho, and then there's another one in like northern Washington, which is like lame. But I went to my first Half Price Books, and I went a little overboard. They were having these like mystery sales where they had these bags. Actually, let me grab one and I'll show you. So they had these tote bags, and they were full of books, and it was the tote bag for 25 bucks, and you got all the books that were inside of it. And I'm like, yes, please. So I bought two. And they were both mystery genre, so most of the books in there were mystery. You will see this in an unhaul video. I'm not keeping every single one of them because a few of them were sequels, and just like I have no desire to really dive into like not even like sequels, but like number 23 in the series, whatever. And like I am not gonna do that. I don't have the desire. The series wasn't interesting enough to me to do that. So I'm going to try and sell them back to Half Price Books or my local bookstore. If they don't take them, I'm going to donate them because, I mean, $25, it was like, I think it equated to like less than $3 a book. So like, that's pretty dang good. And it was a mixture of hardcover and paperback. So like, yes. So I did that. And then I bought a bunch of their clearance books because I was just like, I'm a sucker. Like, okay, it's Half Price Books anyway, so they're already on sale. But then you give me the clearance section, and I'm like, yes, please. I am a sucker for clearance, like anything. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I forget you can pre-order. So I filled out my little bullet journal, and I think I might post a video of my reading journal, even though it's really bad. I'm not an artist in any way, shape, or form, but you know, it's what it is. I'm getting there. But yeah, my bullet journal, and I was like, okay, I want to know what my most anticipated reads of the year are. And basically I ordered all the books that I think will be 5-star predictions. So we got pre-orders. We've already gotten 3 of the pre-orders. We have some more coming this month, but I will, of course, do more haul videos throughout the year because I'm going to get more books throughout the year. I mean, duh. Let's see. I also have won Goodreads giveaways. I enter into a lot of the giveaways on Goodreads, and so I've gotten quite a few books that way. I do have a few ARCs that I've gotten, but they were won in the giveaway. They weren't like given to me by the publisher or anything. I'm not anywhere near that status, but I have won a few on Goodreads. And then my sister, she happens to work the cafe at Barnes and Nobles, and so she gets a discount. And so at least one of these books she got for me. She bought it for me at her discount. And then I know I'm gonna go back and she's gonna get some more books for me because, like, dude, discount at a bookstore, totally about that. So anyways, we're gonna go through, and I'm gonna go through the books and kind of go through like where I got them from and all that. And I guess we're just gonna get started. I'm not gonna give much synopsis about any of the books because I haven't read. Actually, there's only like one of these books that I have. I don't even know how many there are. I'll put the number up of how many there are. I'll count afterwards. But I've only read one so far of all the books that I've hauled since this is since January, so like it's been a couple months of time. But yeah, we're just gonna start, and the very first book that I'm gonna show is this really freaking adorable book. This is A Sloth's Guide to Taking It Easy. Be More Sloth with these fail-safe tips for serious chilling. And this is by Sarah Jackson. And then you have a little sloth here. His name is Brian. See? Hello, Brian. And he basically just takes you on this journey of how to be more sloth-like. And it is the cutest book ever. Like, I was laughing out loud reading this book. This was actually a gift. This was a Christmas gift from my cousin. So, but I was actually in Idaho for Christmas, so I didn't get this until I came home in January. So technically this was hauled in 2021. That is why it's on here. It's just freaking adorable. It was a 5-star read. Like, I'm not putting it in like my best books of the year or anything because it's just a funny, short little book. I mean, it's an adult book, but like kids can read it. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's an adult book or not. It's kind of like an anybody book. But yeah, it was freaking adorable. Like I said, I was literally laughing out loud when I was reading this because it cracked me up. And sloths are like one of my favorite animals ever. And three-toed sloths, which is what he is, are my favorites. Like, there's a two-toed and a three-toed, and three-toed are my favorites. I mean, I love sloths no matter what, but like three-toed sloths have my heart. And so this book, it was just adorable. So that's the first book I got this year. The only gift that I've gotten so far. Now let's move on to books that I have won. Sorry, I'm realizing I'm looking at myself, not at the camera. I apologize if that bothers anybody. Books I've won through Goodreads this year. The first one is super, super cute. And it came with a really cute little PR package as well. So this is Owl's Outstanding Donuts. And this is by Robin Yardy. This is a middle grade book. And it has to do, it's a mystery. And it has to do with a girl who is, let's see. It says she lost her mother. I'm guessing her mother probably passed away. And she now is living in a trailer with her Aunt Molly, who is the proud owner of Owl's Outstanding Donuts. It's like this really popular donut place in California. And I guess one night an owl taps on her window, the little girl's window, and they have to go solve a mystery. And that just sounds adorable. Plus, look at this. This is not super, super cute and pretty. And I mean, it's takes place in Northern California, which is part of the Pacific Northwest, which is where I live. And so I'm always down for a book about the Pacific Northwest. It's got an adorable owl on the cover. Just love it. And it came with the cutest little PR package. I can't remember if this one is signed or not. Yeah, it's signed. But like, I don't think there's any images in it, but it's just a cute, cute book. And it came with a little image that I can design my own donut. I also got a bookmark and a little temporary tattoo donut sticker. So I was like, this is really, really cute. It was very fun little PR package that came with it. So I actually am really excited to read this. I'm doing the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge this year, and this is one of the books on that. So it actually resides on my TBR cart, which are all the books that I would really like to read this year. Next we have another middle grade, and that is Foxheart by Claire Legend. Again, beautiful, beautiful cover. This is about a girl who is an orphan, and let's see, she's 12, it's middle grade, and she dreams of becoming the greatest thief in the land, and she has a faithful dog who's her partner in crime, which I'm like, okay, involve animals. I mean, same with the other one, like animal companions, so that's like my favorite thing ever to exist in this world. Oh, so witches still exist, I guess. But the king has been hunting them for years, and one day a strange old woman and her scruffy dog arrive in Quicksilver's town and perform extraordinary magic. Magic like that, Quicksilver could steal anything her heart desires, but the old woman is not what she seems, and soon Quicksilver has to decide. Will she stay at home and remain a thief, or will she embark on an adventure of a lifetime and become a legend? So that's what this book is kind of about. Quicksilver obviously is the girl, and then her dog's name is Fox, and so it's Foxheart, and I'm just like, freaking cute, right? Freaking cute. After that, I've won this book by Flynn Berry. It's called Northern Spy, and this, again, beautiful. I don't know, like these books lately that have been coming out have the most beautiful covers. But this is actually about, it's set in Ireland, and this is about the IRA, which I'm trying to remember what that stands for. Irish Republic Association? I could be totally wrong there. But the IRA is basically, so if you don't know the history of Ireland, there's Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, and there was a great like civil war basically where the IRA was like the people who wanted to liberate Ireland. And so Southern Ireland is liberated from English rule. Northern Ireland still belongs to England. And this book is about the IRA nowadays. It's about a girl who lives in Belfast, I think it says. And I guess the IRA is like coming back, like they've been silent for a really long time and they are starting to come back. And she believes, or the police believe, that her sister has joined the IRA, but she doesn't believe that because both her and her sister have always had really strong anti-feelings about them and like disagreed. And I believe the main girl, she works at the BBC and she's like against what they stand for, and she thought her sister was too, until all of a sudden it's like the police show up and like, we think your sister is working for the IRA. And so it's kind of a mystery thriller of her trying to figure out where her sister is and, you know, whether or not she is, and questioning everything that she's ever believed about her sister and her life. And I'm just like, yes, I'm so for it. There's a thing that I'm wanting to do with my channel. If you guys have watched any of my previous videos, I'll go ahead and link it too. Last year, I got a DNA kit from Ancestry DNA, and I found out my heritage. And I really want to read, and this is still something that I want to do, I want to read books that are based in the countries or by the authors of, so like, that are around the countries that I am from. And Ireland is one of my ancestral countries, I guess. Some of my family is from Ireland. And so since this is an Irish book, it's set in Ireland, I can't tell you whether or not the author is Irish or not. But I do really want to read this as part of like my Irish reading thing. I'll go ahead and link that video if you want to go watch it. It kind of explains it a lot more of what I want to do. But basically, yeah, I'm wanting to read authors from said country, book based in that country, a classic from that country, you know, all different things like that. And since this is based in Ireland, I'm really looking forward to reading this this year and putting it in the Irish section of my reading, my family history, I guess. So the next two books we have are actually ARCs, and I'm awful about reading ARCs. Back in the day, well, when I first found out about Goodreads giveaways, I used to enter into every single giveaway ever because I was like, there's no way I'm going to win any books. Even books I didn't want to read, I would just enter in them just because, like, it's cool, you win a giveaway. Yeah, I found out that when you do that, you actually do win quite a lot of stuff. So I've got a lot of ARCs that are just not read. And these are two of them. Let's see. Yeah, one of them actually is out and one is not. So unfortunately, I didn't get to read either of these ARCs. But the first one that is out, and it just came out last month actually, is We Begin at the End. and this is by Chris Whitaker. You know, I gotta tell you, I don't really know what this book is about. I believe it's something that has to do, let's see, is it like a historical fiction maybe? Okay, so it seems like a family drama. I think someone was like in prison, and there's a young girl who basically has to like take care of her brother and her single mom who is not well. Something about a chief of police and someone being released from prison, I think. I don't know. But kind of like a family drama. I'm thinking it might be kind of thrillery. I'm not sure. Obviously I liked the synopsis when I entered into the giveaway, so hopefully I can get this read soon. It's an ARC and it has deckled edges, which is really interesting. But anyways, hopefully I can get into reading this soon because it has come out already and I would like to know what it's about. The next ARC we have is 1, 2, 3, and this is by Lori Frankel. This is also a family drama type of book. I believe it's kind of like a literary fiction, maybe. I don't really know, again, much what this is about other than it has to do with a family and a small town. Something about a library. I don't know. It sounds really good. Well, at least, I mean, I assume it sounds good because I wouldn't have put in for the giveaway if it didn't sound good. So yes, here we are. 1, 2, 3. This actually comes out in June, so hopefully I can get this read before then, so I can kind of give, you know, a little bit of a review, since that's kind of the whole point of them sending out our copies, right? Hope I can get to this. All right, and the last book that I got from Goodreads is It Gives You Strength, and this is by Philip Raymond Brown. I believe this might be an indie book. It's basically about an alien who comes to Earth, and he is like, I think he comes to Earth, but he like ends up coming in like the wrong time period, and he ends up going into the dying body of a bootlegger. So the alien basically reanimates his body. He is endowed with supernatural powers. Unfortunately, the body is so damaged from years of alcohol abuse, the alien's memory and his vital files are corrupted. So it's basically, I don't know, he might come in the same time period, but it says it is a mashup of historical fiction, science fiction, and fantasy set in upstate New York during Prohibition. So like, that just sounds super interesting to me, like an alien coming to me, like not knowing what he was supposed to do because the body he goes into is freaking like a drunk. I don't know. It just sounds really cool. I mean, historical fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, like all mashed together. Like, I'm totally down for that. Okay, next we're going to dive into the books that I have bought at Half Price Books. And these are the books that I personally bought, or my boyfriend bought for me. He bought me a couple books and I bought a couple books that were not in the mystery bag. So like these ones, like I knew what they were when I got them. First off, we have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I haven't read this one yet. I've read 3 of her other novels. Let's see. I have not read The Death of Miss Westaway, but I own it. I have not read this one, which I think is her first one. And I've not read her newest one, which is One by One, I believe. Ruth Ware, I personally really, really enjoy her. Turn of the Key was like my favorite book I read last year. So I've heard though that her older stuff is not as good as her newer stuff. It's like she keeps getting better with every novel she comes out with, and I think this is her first one. But it's a Reese Witherspoon, where's my camera? Reese Witherspoon book club pick. And yeah, I mean, this was at Half Price Books and I saw it and I was like, you know what? I don't have this book yet. So I kind of want it. And I'm going to read it and see. I'm probably going to wait till, you know, spooky season. But I like Ruth Ware a lot. So we'll see how this book holds up compared to her newer books. After that, I picked up The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. I gotta tell you, this was really a cover/title buy because I like spooky books. Basically, from what I can tell, this is a YA, and it's in Mary's world, there are simple truths. The sisterhood always knows best. The guardians will protect and serve. The unconsecrated will never relent. And you must always mind the fence that surrounds the village. So this is kind of like a small village, like you can't leave, and there's like all these rules, maybe like witchy stuff. Really kind of gave me vibes of The Village by M. Night Shyamalan, which I freaking love that movie. So I'm really excited to read this. I think there might be some supernatural stuff in here. I don't know. But I like supernatural books, so that's why I got this one. Plus, it was a clearance. I think all these other books now that I'm going to be showing you, or most of them anyways, were clearance. And that is why I got them, because, I mean, come on, I can't pass up like a $1, $2 book. Okay, next one. You might see a little bit of a pattern here with the kind of books that I like. We have the Daughters of the Witching Hill. This is by Mary Sharratt. Sharratt? Also, I'm awful at pronouncing names, so just forgive that. Yeah, basically, this is about witches, and it's set in 1612. No, okay, it's not set in 1612, but it's inspired by the things that happened back when, I think this might be in England, or is this in America? I'm not sure, but it's kind of like a historical fiction about the witch trials. So, like, not the Salem witch trials, but the Pendle witch trials. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it has to do a lot with this woman being accused of being a witch. And whether or not she really is or not, I don't know yet. I'm going to read this book and find out. Alright, so the next book I got is actually a nonfiction book. And another thing that I love, and that is a huge part of me and my reading, is I love animals. I love anything to do with animals. I love science. I love anything to do with science. Biology in particular. Animal science is like my thing that I adore. Dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs, as you can see. Yeah, so anything that has to involve science, animals, animal companions, I think I said that earlier, like, I'm all about that. Like, that is my thing. Please, give me more. And so when I found this book, I was like, yes, I have to buy this. I didn't buy it the first day I was there because I was like, I don't know if I should really be buying books. Like, I have a whole bunch at home I need to read. And then I went back again and I bought all these other books. So, like, you know, but this is one of them. And this is called Zoo by Quillity. I believe that's how you pronounce it. An astonishing collection. No, the astonishing connection between human and animal health. And this is by Barbara Natterson Hordwitz, MD, and Catherine Bowers. Yes, and this was a Discover Magazine Best Book of the Year. And basically, this book is what it says. It's all about the connection between human and animal health, which I think is freaking awesome. I watched a TED Talk once that was about a veterinarian talking about how she wishes medical doctors would honor, or not honor, but like talk to their veterinary colleagues, I guess. I don't know if they're considered colleagues. I mean, they're both in medicine. It's just a different type of medicine. But there are these advances that are happening in animal medicine that is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And if human doctors would actually look to animal medicine, then there's all this stuff that could probably be like, I don't know, like, I mean, canine cancer is hugely, hugely researched. And there's all this new information coming out about it. It was like, if the human doctors or human medical could take from animal medical and learn from them, I think that medicine would probably be a lot farther than it is right now. And I have a huge stake in this because I am chronically ill. And I have been very, very let down and abused by the Western medical society system. And so something like this, and growing up, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. I mean, literally, like, that was my dream. I mean, if I had a chance now, I would jump at it, you know. But due to my illness, it never happened, and it probably never will. Quite honest, I mean, I'm 32. I mean, that doesn't mean I can't go back to school. But, like, anyways, I found this, and I was like, yes. Yes! Love nonfiction. I love animal nonfiction. This is like medical and like everything that interests me in this book. And so I cannot tell you how excited I am to read this. After that, I have a Christian fiction suspense book. So if you haven't watched like previous videos of mine, I am a Christian and I read Christian fiction. But there's a lot, okay, I'm trying to put this nicely, but a lot of Christian fiction, you know what, it sucks. It just does. It's not good writing. And it's just not. I'm sorry to say that it's not, and it's disappointing because I'm like, there's so many stories that you could do that'd be so good. So I'm very picky with the type of Christian fiction that I read. Really, the only type I read, like sometimes I'll read like historical fiction, Christian historical fiction, or like religious historical fiction. Sometimes can interest me, especially around like the gladiator, like ancient Rome, ancient Greece kind of era. And then I read like Christian suspense horror thriller. You might be like, what? That doesn't seem to compute, like how you have Christian horror, but you can legit have Christian horror. I mean, hello, demons. Like, yeah. Anyways, so I read a lot of really like dark, creepy, spooky, spiritual warfare type of books. And so when I saw this one, I was like, heck yes. This is The Resurrection, and this is by Mike Duran. I believe I've read books by him before, but I can't remember 100%. Anyways, this is basically a zombie book. Like, hello. Well, okay, I don't know if it's a zombie necessarily, but it's a book about like resurrection, and like it's not necessarily from God. People are like, yeah. So it just says, when the dead come back to life, someone must pay the price. And I guess there's this woman who raises a boy from the dead, and she creates an uproar in the quiet coastal town. Some band her a witch, others a godsend. But the controversy is just the beginning, for this resurrection has awakened more than just a dead boy. And then I guess it's a reverend who doesn't believe in miracles, which is kind of funny, you know. It's I read a lot of those books of like people, or like people in religious power, so to speak, pastors, reverends, whatever, who are like questioning their faith or like don't believe anymore, and kind of like along those lines, and then kind of like having to go through all this darkness to like refine their faith and stuff. Anyways, I guess this one somehow it like, I don't know. He's part of it somehow. He doesn't believe, but this boy was raised from the dead, and I guess there's like demons and other things that are happening, and it sounds like spiritual warfare stuff, which I'm totally all for. I love those kind of books. Really dark. Oh, literally did not even see that, but there's apparently a witch on the cover. I did not see that. That's funny. But I mean, look at this. It's spooky and it's creepy, and it's all the goodness. Like, I love spooky books. And when you make Christian spooky books, I'm like, yes, that is my thing. Please, thank you. Next. Again, you will totally see a trend here of the books that I personally have like bought myself. Not that we're not the ones that were in the surprise box, but like that I personally bought. And this one, you guys, this one's amazing. Okay, so this is Mr. Darcy's Bite, and this is by Mary Lloyd Simmons. Y'all, do you see that? Do you see that? He's a werewolf. Mr. Darcy has a secret, it says at the end. So yeah, basically Mr. Darcy is a freaking werewolf, and I am like, can it get any better? Can it get any better? So I'm a huge werewolf person. I've always loved werewolves. I like vampire stories too, but like, I am a werewolf stan all day. And yes, it did come from Twilight. I gotta say, I was totally a Jacob stan. It is what it is. But I saw this and I was just like, all right, come on. I can't not get this book. Like, it might be super cheesy, but I don't even care, because it's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy as a werewolf. You can't make this stuff up, guys. So, okay, here's the thing. I'm not a huge classic reader. I like Pride and Prejudice. It's not like my favorite or whatever. I have a cognitive disability that makes it difficult for me to understand things sometimes. That's a lot of why I read a lot of audiobooks, which you wouldn't know it looking at all the physical books I bought. But I'm trying to retrain my brain to read physically. But I read a lot of audiobooks, and so that has nothing to do with it. Classics are hard for me. I think it's because it's in Old English, whether or not that's my cognitive thing or something else. Maybe I just I just don't get it. I don't know. But I read some of Jane Austen's works and just like not that moved by it until I saw not just Jane Austen, but like Bronte sisters and things like that. Really don't understand classics. It's hard for me to comprehend them, but I saw the movie of Pride and Prejudice, like the retelling, not the retelling, but like the spin-off or whatever the heck it is. Adaptation, that's what I'm looking for, with Keira Knightley. I bawled, and I was like, I get it now. I understand why people love this book so much. It just took me seeing it visually for me to be able to comprehend like what was happening. I think it's just, again, my cognitive stuff. It's just hard. But so it's not like it's my favorite book in the world, but I do like retellings of Pride and Prejudice. I have Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which was an amazingly funny, hilarious book. And so then when I saw this, I was like, okay, it's werewolves and it's freaking Pride and Prejudice. Like, I just have to. Basically, Mr. Darcy is a werewolf. I guess it's supposed to take place like during the time that he's courting Elizabeth, like they're not married yet. I don't think he's even proposed to her yet, but they're courting, and he acts weird around the full moon. Who would have known? And then basically people are hunting werewolves all over England, and I guess one of his pack is facing a crisis in Scotland, and so Elizabeth has to overcome her prejudice and basically join him in a world that she never knew existed. And I'm like, yes, please. And the last book that I bought from Half Price Books, like knowingly bought, it wasn't in the, nope, that's a lie. I have 3 more, but this is the last paperback I have that I bought, and that is The Wolf Road, and this is by Beth Lewis. I thought I had heard of this book before, but I think I was thinking of the book Wolf by Wolf. I think that's what it's called, which is like a Nazi book. This one is totally not that. I don't know if this is YA or adult. I'm really not sure. It almost looks YA, but like it doesn't say. It just says fiction, thriller, psychological. So maybe adult. I don't know. Anyways, all I know is it's about a girl named Elka, and when she was 7 years old, she was taken in by a lone hunter who she calls Tracker. Now this is a post-apocalyptic book. So like dystopian. I love dystopian stories. I know the whole dystopian thing is kind of like past and all, but I still love dystopian stories. Anyways, she was taken in by this man that she calls Trapper, and he basically has taught her how to survive in the wilderness, in the world. I'm also a huge sucker for wilderness survival books, so like you're hitting all the buzzwords here for me. And then I'll just read you what this says. Then Elka discovers Trapper's monstrous secret, and once she knows the truth, she may be his next victim. But Trapper's taught her far too well, for she too is a predator, and she's going to fight and survive, no matter what the cost. So like, I don't know, like I said, you're hitting all the buzzwords for me. This just sounds so good. It says, The Wolf Road is a story of suspense that calls to mind true grit and the road while weaving a spell all its own. And I never read The Road, but it sounds like a book I'd probably like, and I love true grit. And again, wilderness survival post-apocalyptic. Yes, maybe like being hunted by a human or hunting a human, I don't know, but like, yes. Okay, now we're going into the hardback books that I got at Half Price Book. So the first one would be State of Fear, and this is by Michael Crichton. I can never say this man's last name. I've looked it up so many times to like how to say it, and I always forget it. But anyways, he is one of my favorite authors of all time. This is the man who wrote Jurassic Park. Like one of my favorites. Unfortunately, he is passed away. He had passed quite a few years ago, I believe. So no new books by him, which makes me very sad. I mean, that sounds awful. Like, I'm sad that he died because he isn't having new books come out. Like, that sounds awful. But like, I'm sad that he died because he died young. So like, that's sad. And then the fact that we don't get any more stories is also sad. And anyways, I digress. Michael Crichton is was a very, very smart man. I believe he has like a PhD in science, and I don't know, I don't remember. I know that he's very science minded. He's very knowledgeable, very smart. And actually, I forgot this, what it says. He was the creator of the television show ER. So like, there's that. And yeah, he wrote, you know, Jurassic Park, Andromeda Strain. There are so many books that he wrote, and they're all very science-based, and I guess science fiction is what his books would be considered, because it's stuff that like is freaking creepy, because a lot of it is stuff that like could theoretically happen. This one, I don't know what it's about. I just haven't read this book yet, and I would like to collect all of his works. So when I saw it, I was like, shoot, I'm gonna get this. Literally, I don't know what this is about. The little blurb doesn't really say much. It just says, in Paris, a psychiatrist dies after performing a laboratory experiment for a beautiful visitor. In the jungles of Malaysia, a mysterious buyer purchases deadly cavitin technology. I could be reading that wrong, I don't know. Built to his specifications. In Vancouver, a small research submarine is leased for use in waters off New Guinea. And in Tokyo, an intelligent agent tries to understand what it all means. Yeah, apparently it's a provocative techno thriller. I don't know what any of that means. All I know is I love this man's books, and they're all very, not all, I mean there's a couple of his books that I rated like lower because they weren't really my thing, but I love his writing style. He is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to science, and he puts a lot of his knowledge into books, and it's like, I love them. So I had to add this one to my collection. And these last two are books that I had personally, you know, picked out myself. Like, they weren't in the mystery surprise box, and they're both by the same author. And the first one is Here Comes a Horseman. And this is by Robert Leparlo. I'm so bad with names, guys. I'm sorry. Leparlo, I think. Anyways, this book has been on my wish list, like at the top of my wish list for years. And when I saw it, I almost passed it up because I did pass it the first time actually, because it was a little bit more expensive. I mean, even though like it's cheaper than buying it brand new, but I mean, it's a hardcover, you know, they're expensive. And I prefer paperback, honestly. But I was like, you know what? I've wanted this book for so long. I'm just gonna buy it. And so I bought it. And basically what this book is about is, so this is a Christian fiction. This is another one that is a Christian fiction. Actually, it's not even marketed as Christian fiction. It's just marketed as Christian fiction, or as suspense and fiction. But anyways, this is about FBI, these partners that are after this serial killer, and apparently they believe he uses wolf dogs to help in his killing, which is just like, creepy. And I guess they end up figuring out that it has to do with something that has to do with him is tied to the Vatican and these like ancient tunnels under Egypt and all this kind of stuff that has to do with like ancient Egypt and the Vatican, and why this man is killing. And then eventually the killer turns his sights on the FBI agents, and it's just, I don't know, it just sounded really, really good, and so I had to pick it up. The next one is also by the same author, and that is Deadfall. And I'd never heard of this book before. I ended up just getting it because, for one, it's by the same author, and I thought, you know, hey, I'll probably like it. And for two, the back of it, takes place in the Northwest, kind of like Canada. I think it might be a post-apocalyptic. It's a thriller, and let's see. A fresh, fast-paced novel that installs a well-founded fear of the villains and an admiration for the people who refuse to be victims. It deserves the name thriller. And that is by Thomas Perry, who's author of Silence and Blood Money. It looks like they're deep in the isolated Northwest Territories, 4 friends on a trip of a lifetime, dropped by helicopter into the remote Canadian wilderness. They're looking to escape the events of a bad year. All this bad stuff happened just by going hunting, fishing, camping. Apparently they only have a bow and arrow and basic survivor skills. They're far from civilizations. But then apparently there's a group that, but they quickly discover that another group has targeted the remote region and the secluded hamlet of Fiddler Falls for a more menacing purpose. A field test, the ultimate weapon. So I guess they're kind of like in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness, and they have to survive. And they have like no way of contacting the outside world. Like they're basically stuck until like a week later when the helicopter comes back for them. And I don't know. I mean, it's a thriller about surviving in the woods. And like, again, like I said with some of the other books, and like that is buzzwords. So I'm gonna try it and see what I think. Up next, we have some books from the first mystery bag that I got. So I ended up going my first day. I went and I bought a mystery bag, and then when I left Boise, I stopped before I left and picked up a few books about a second mystery bag. So this is the first one. I don't have all of the books here because some of them, I believe I may have said this earlier in the video, I don't plan on keeping all of them. Some of them are either books I'm not interested in or are like sequels or later on in the series, and I'm just like, I can't be bothered to read them. But these are the books that I got that sounded really interesting. So first we have, and something like mostly that I've actually never heard of before. And then again, this is like mystery. I am definitely more of a thriller reader, but I do like a good mystery. So that's what these are. So the first one we have is The Complete Father Brown Stories. And let's see, can you see that? Okay. This is by G.K. Chesterton. Apparently, this was a TV show. They made it into a TV show. And I mean, it's like tiny writing, but it's like a bunch of different little books put together. I mean, it's the complete series of stories. From what I can understand is Father Brown is a priest in England who helps solve murders. So I'm like, that sounds fun. My boyfriend said that he used to watch this show, and he said it kind of reminds him a little bit of Monk, I guess. And I really like that show. I think it's kind of a mixture of Monk and like Sherlock Holmes. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's like Sherlock Holmes era. 1911 is when this takes place. So, I don't know. I think this would be kind of a fun one. Just kind of read occasionally, read a story or two every now and then, and see. I've never heard of this character before. If you're over in England, maybe you know this series. I don't know. I don't know if it's popular, if it's just, I don't know. I've never heard of it, but I'm gonna try it out and see what I think about it. After that, we have the book Child 44, and this is by Rob Smith. Don't know what this is. All I know is it says it's turned into a movie. Apparently, it says one of the top 100 thrillers of all times, and that was by NPR. It looks like it has to do with Soviet Union. So it looks like it is maybe a spy novel or some kind of crime novel set in the Soviet Union. Usually not my biggest thing. Like, I don't really read a lot of that, but I don't think it's a war novel. I think it's like, I don't know. I guess there's murders that happen, and this guy is trying to solve it, but he gets kicked out of the union, or kicked out of the country. He's exiled or something. I don't know. But again, it was one of the books in the mystery bag, so I'm gonna try it out and see if I like it, and watch the movie. Oh, it's a trilogy apparently. Did not know that. This is the first book in the trilogy. So we shall see. If I like it, I might pick up book 2 and 3. And then the next book is a hardback, and we have Vertical Burn, and this is by Earl Emerson. This is basically about a firefighter, and the author is a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter. It is about a volunteer firefighter who basically went into a fire. Him and his partner went into the fire to try to rescue somebody or something. His partner died in the fire, and he made it out alive, and so he's kind of blamed by the fire department as being like a coward and leaving his partner to die, when he believes that his partner was murdered, basically. And so he's trying to figure out what happened to his partner, who set the fire, because it was like an arson, I think, and the truth behind it all. So nothing I would normally have picked up on my own, to be 100% honest, but it does sound intriguing, and so I'm glad that it was in the bag so that I can read it and see if it's something that I'm interested in or not. Maybe I'll find a new love for firefighter novels, I don't know. Okay, after that we have one that I was actually really excited about, and that is The Deep, and this is by Peter Benchley, I think is how you pronounce his name. He is the author of Jaws. Now, Jaws, I loved the book Loved the movie. Yes, I know it is problematic in the sense of it did a lot of awful, awful things for the ocean and for great white sharks. But the author himself did come out years later and write a book basically in the defense of great white sharks, of sharks in general, and of how he was like, it was just a fiction. I didn't mean to demonize sharks. Like, it was never my intention for people to go out and start hunting and killing great white sharks. So I do understand that, like, that novel caused a lot of pain and a lot of damage to the oceans, but it's still a really good book. And I really liked it, except, I mean, there's this one scene, okay, this is not about this one, but there's this one scene in Jaws, it's totally, absolutely, it's like a sex scene. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It was a sex scene, literally has nothing to do with the story. You could have completely left it out and it wouldn't have changed anything. It's just like, it's like he threw it in there, just, and it wasn't even, I don't know, it was like not good, and it like, I could see how it like, you could have used this certain scene for like character development in certain ways, but it didn't, and it was just pointless to me. And I read some reviews and people were agreeing, they're like, literally just take that chapter out and like, it's a great book. So I don't know if that's going to be in this. Literally, I don't even know what this one's about. It doesn't say, there's no synopsis, it's just his picture on the back. I don't know if it's like a sequel to Jaws, because if you look at the cover, it kind of looks like the same thing, right? I mean, there's no shark though. I have no idea what it's about. All I know is I really, really love Jaws, the movie and the book. So I'm going to read this. It has to do with oceany stuff, scary oceany stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to try it and see what I think. Then we have one that I don't really think this is a mystery. I think this is more of just a general fiction, but whatever. It was in there. And that is My Italian Bulldozer. And this is by Alexander McCall Smith. Now, I do know that Alexander McCall Smith did write the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. Maybe that's why it's in here. But this one doesn't sound like a mystery to me. Basically, this is about a guy who, he's a food writer, and his girlfriend broke up with him, so he decides to go to Tuscany to write a new book, like be in Tuscany around all the Italian culture and everything to write a cookbook. But apparently there's a mishap with his car reservation, and so all that they had for him to use was a bulldozer. So he literally drives a bulldozer all around Italy exploring the countryside. And I'm just like, what? That's so weird. I don't know. It just seems funny. I mean, I'm sure it has a lot of like food stuff in it, because he's a food writer. It's Italy. He rides a bulldozer. What? It just sounds interesting. So I definitely kept this one, even though I'm like, it's not a mystery, I don't think. I'm totally gonna read this because of just the weirdness of it. Okay, then next we have The Thing About December. This is by Donald Ryan. I believe this is also a book that is set in Ireland. Yeah. So, I guess this man's like family dies and he wants to inherit, or he inherits their land or something, like their farm, but then he's not, or he's incapable of managing it. And then it has to do with a lot of like people in the village that want to steal his land from him. I don't know if they want to develop on it or something, but it takes place in Ireland, and apparently they always put the stickers on like the worst places. But it says the British Book Awards Novel of the Year, I think, or it's a finalist, and it also was a finalist for the Kelly Group Irish Novel of the Year. I don't know if you can see a little bit of a sticker there, but again, it's another Irish book. And while this is nothing that I think I would have picked up on my own, the fact that it is Irish and that I do want to read Irish books for my ancestry read along thing makes me interested. And I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting that he inherited this farm and then people are trying to steal it from him or buy it from him or something. I don't know, but I'm going to read it, hopefully read it, and see if it's any good or not. I don't mind literary fiction. I mean, I don't know if this is much of a mystery. It's hard to say, because some of these books I don't necessarily think would be classed as mysteries, but they're in the mystery bag. Don't know. And then the last one from that bag is Crooked Letter by Tom Franklin. I think, so this one is an Edgar Award nominee for Best Novel. And this one, I believe, again, is another family drama. It just says a powerful literary thriller, a volatile collision of racism, family secrets, shame, fear, and friendship. And it takes place in the 1970s. So I believe it has to do with race relations and family drama and all that kind of stuff, which I do actually like those type of books. So I'm excited to read this and see what it's about. Moving on. This is gonna be a freaking long video. Now we're on to the second bag of books that I got from Half Price Books. We have At All Costs, and this is by John Gilstrap. This is a tonker of a book. Again, I'm not really sure what any is about. I mean, these are all like mystery. This is like it's like stiff too. I don't know. Let me see how many pages. This is over 400 pages. There's like 450 pages in this book. So like 452 pages. My goodness. It's a small town American couple with a teenager. Oh, interesting. All right. So I guess they're like this family. They're your typical American couple. They have a teenage son who's 13, like normal, average, law-abiding family. And then one day the authorities discover who they really are, or at least who the wanted posters say they are. According to their accusers, 14 years ago, the Donovans slaughtered 16 of their friends and touched off an eco-disaster of unprecedented proportions. Now the couple's names reside at the top of the America's Most Wanted list, and the FBI wants them badly. Its chief will stop at nothing to apprehend them. So, interesting. It sounds, obviously it's like whether or not this couple or this family is really a monstrous, murderous family or not. Very long book. Normally my thrillers and stuff aren't this long, so I'm curious to see what this one is all about. And I do believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe this is the UK cover or edition, which is interesting. I don't know. It says UK £10, I think, if that is pounds. I don't know. I don't know your money or euros, but I think it's pounds. But anyways, yeah. Next we have one that I was kind of questioning whether or not I was going to keep it or not, but I do actually have another book by this author on my shelf, so I was like, we'll give it a try. And that's Tailspin by Sandra Brown. Now I know Sandra Brown has been around for a while. She has a lot of books written, and she is a mystery thriller writer. This was basically about a pilot who is sabotaged. He's like tasked to deliver a package to somebody, like a mysterious package, and then people are trying to sabotage him so that he can't get the package there. I think it's kind of like a, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm thinking of? Romantic thriller, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. I don't really like a lot of romance in my thrillers, but we'll see. Sorry, I'm leaning back. I'm like, dude, this video is taking a long time. I'm tired. The next book that was a part of that is The Ice Twins, and this is by S.K. Tremaine. Basically, all I know about this is that they were these twins and one of them died, but the mom is not sure which one it was. One of Sarah's daughters is dead, but can she be sure which one? Like, yo, that's all I needed to know about this book. The Ice Twins is a terrifying psychological thriller with a twisting plot worthy of Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn? Gillian? I don't know how she pronounces her name. But yeah, I was like, whoa, you don't know which twin is dead. Alright, cool. Like, totally hooked me. So, this one sounds really good, and I'm really excited to read this book. After that, we have A Drink Before War, and this is by Dennis Lehane, or Lehane, whatever. Again, don't know much about this book other than it has to do with war, maybe? Okay, it's like a noir, book, and private investigators in Boston. Politics, crime, private detectives, Boston. Interesting. I don't really read a whole lot of books like this, but I love these type of movies. So maybe I'll like the book. So the very last book that was in the second bag, at least that I'm keeping, is called Star Island, and this is by Carl Hassan. This one is about a pop star who, oh, I remember. This one was about a pop star who's, her double, her undercover stunt double, ends up getting kidnapped because they think it's the actual pop star, and they kidnap the stunt double instead. So the pop star basically has to try and like get her double back before the secret is revealed, because I guess she is an alcoholic and just like a partier and doesn't really do, she's not a very good person. So she kind of, it literally says she has to sober up. Oh, so it says, will Cherry, which is the pop star, sober up in time to lip sync her way through her concert tour? Stay tuned. So yeah, it just sounds like a really kind of funny, fun mystery of like they kidnapped the wrong girl, thinking that it's really this pop star when in reality it's her double. I don't know, it sounded interesting and funny to me. Like looking at this, it's not a book that I would gravitate towards. Like I normally don't gravitate towards brighter colors. I like the darker colors, if you can tell. But this does sound quite funny. So I am willing to give this a try and see how it goes. Okay, that's all from Half Price Books. That was a lot of freaking books that I bought, like ridiculous amount. Next we'll go on to pre-orders. Actually, before that though, I'm going to do the one book that I bought. Where'd it go? The one book that I actually bought at Barnes & Noble, or my sister bought it for me because she works there and she got a discount. And so I went in to visit her and I saw this book on the shelves. Hadn't heard nothing about it, but it looked amazingly beautiful and it sounded really good, so I picked it up. And that's The Ravens, and this is by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. And I mean, look at that cover. Is that not stunning? Absolutely stunning. And this is basically, it's a witchy book, and it's about a sorority of witches. So there's a girl who doesn't know that she's a witch, and she joins this sorority and she finds out, I guess, that she's a witch. And there's another girl whose like family lineage is in the sorority, and it's like her goal to like be the queen, or the queen of the sorority, or how, what did they put? I don't know, I was never in a sorority. President, that's what it is, president of the sorority. And I guess like bad things happen, and they have to like all band together to figure out, and like, I don't know, but I'm like, sorority, kind of like dark academia-esque, like, but YA with witches and birds. Duh, I'm gonna get it. Okay, and then my 3 pre-orders that have come in so far this year. The first one, we have Sing Me Forgotten, and this is by Jessica S. Olsen. This is a freaking Phantom of the Opera retelling. Phantom of the Opera is my favorite play to ever exist. My favorite soundtrack to ever exist. My favorite story to ever exist. It's funny because I've actually never read the original story. I didn't even realize it was a story, like a book. For a long time, I've just always heard the play. But it's a book, and I need to read it. But this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. Yes, please. So apparently, this girl... So I guess it's like the girl is the phantom. Yeah, it's kind of like a gender swap phantom retelling with a little bit of magical realism. And I'm like, dude, say no more. So yeah, I got this one. The next book I pre-ordered is actually a book in a series that I freaking adore. It's the newest book in the series. I don't own any of the other books, but I've listened to them all in audiobook. But when I saw this was coming out and it was signed by the author, I was like, duh, I'm gonna get it. Because eventually I will own all the other books because I do love this series. And this is Wild Sign by Patricia Briggs. It is Alpha and Omega novel. So the Alpha and Omega novels are a spin-off of the Mercy Thompson novels. And you know, I really don't ever hear anyone talking about Mercy Thompson books on Booktube. I adore them. They are paranormal, where Mercy Thompson is a shapeshifter, but she is a coyote. So she's a Native American, and she's a coyote shapeshifter who was raised by werewolves. And so in the world, it's like in our day, in the modern day, werewolves, witches, vampires, fae all exist. And it takes place, so these ones are a spin-off which take place in Montana. The Mercy Thompson one take place in Washington State. But these books are about Anna and Charles, who they are both werewolves, but Charles is the son of the Murrock, and the Murrock is the most powerful, like he is the head of all werewolves in the, like, the entire northern hemisphere, basically, or like North America, I think. Anyways, he was like one of the first werewolves ever existed in America or something, or I don't know if he's, I can't remember, maybe he's like the head of the whole world, I don't remember. Anyways, he's like super powerful. It's about his son, who is like the enforcer of the rules. So he, like, people, everyone fears him because he's this really scary dude who has magic, and he can actually transform like instantly into a werewolf, where everyone else has to like take time, like you would see in most werewolf stories. And they actually turn into like actual wolves, not like half wolf, half human creatures. And Anna, his wife, who is an Omega, an Omega wolf is basically someone that cannot be controlled by anyone else, because in the pack hierarchy, the alphas can control the lowers and all that kind of stuff. But she's an Omega, and she has the power to instantly soothe and calm other werewolves around her. So she's a very important person in their story, and she has a lot of trauma in her past that I think these books go into very well. I think it's handled very well. It has romance in it, but it's clean romance, which I'm like so thankful for, because I love paranormal fiction, paranormal romance, but it's usually erotica, and I don't do that. I just don't like it. So when I found these books, I was so excited. So yeah, this one just came out, and it's a signed edition. I haven't read this one yet because I'm waiting to read it on the audiobook, because I read all the other ones on audiobook. But oh, it smells so good. Yeah, but it's, I don't know, I've loved all of them so far. Like I've said, it's a great series. I really wish people would read it, because I think it's awesome. And like I said, this is the spin-off series, but it is part of the Mercy Thompson world, so you can read these series separate, but I think it actually helps if you read them in tangent. So if you go to the website, Patricia Briggs' website, she kind of has like the order of the books that you should read in the whole world. So she's got like some novellas and stuff like that too. But anyways, this, you can read this alone, but I think you get more out of it if you also read it with the Mercy Thompson world. And the last book that I pre-ordered that has come so far as of today, April 2nd, is The Lost Village. This is by Camilla Steen, and this is actually a translated work. So this is translated by Alexandra Fleming. This book, it just screams Blair Witch Project to me. Like, yes. Basically, this is about a small town or a village. I think this is set in Poland. Let me see. I think it's Polish, but I cannot remember. Like, I think it's actually translated from Polish. Yes, the author is Polish, so I'm pretty sure this takes place in Poland. But it gives me Blair Witch vibes 100%. So I guess there was this village that one day, like, everyone disappeared, and all that was left was, so it's called The Lost Village, and all that was left was a baby and a woman stoned to death in the middle of town. Everyone else disappeared. And this happened in 1959. And so nowadays there is a filmmaker who is going to basically do a documentary about this town, very much reminiscent of Blair Witch Project. And weird things start happening. Their stuff starts getting messed with, like weird, maybe paranormal, maybe not. Stuff starts happening, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, while also trying to discover the secret of what happened in this village so many years ago. And I'm just like, oh my word, yes, yes. The police searched every building, cottage, and villa, but they couldn't find a single soul. So like a baby survived and a woman was stoned to death and everyone else was missing. And then documentary crew, things start going weird. Yes, please. Yes, yes, please. Okay. Those are all the books that I got from Half Price Books. I have my pre-orders, Goodreads, and I have one more section of books to show you that I just picked up from Goodwill, and I'm done. And I know this is going to be like an hour-long video, but you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. My videos are just going to be long, and if people don't like them, I'm sorry. But, you know, hey, if you like long videos, subscribe to my channel because all my videos are going to be very long. Okay, I just had to get up and grab this bag, and I'm literally surrounded by books, so like, that was not easy. So this is the last chunk of books that I've gotten, and I just picked these up from Goodwill the other day. So the first one is City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. This is book 5 of the Mortal Instrument series, and it's actually the only one I don't own. I thought I had owned this already when I picked it up, but literally it was like half price, so it was 50 cents, and I was like, whatever, if I already own it, I'll just resell it or donate it or whatever. It's not that big a deal, it's 50 cents. And I got home and realized I didn't own this one yet. This is the only one in the series I don't own. I have actually not read any Shadowhunters books at all. Yeah, see, I'm one of those people that, like, if I'm going to read a series, I binge read series, and so I have to have all of the books with me, or else I'm going to, like, scream. So I know that if I really, really like this series, I'm going to want to own them all, and I might as well just have them all to start out with, and if I don't like them, I could just unhaul them. Yeah, this is the last book in the series, the Mortal Instrument series, right? Is that what this one is? Yeah, that I don't have. I do have, though, City of Bones on my cart to read this year, so hopefully I'll get into this series this year and see what all the hype is about. Whether or not I like them or not, I have absolutely no idea, but we're gonna find out. Okay, then I have a couple middle grade-ish books. So this one is an old book. This was actually written in the 50s, I believe, and it might be problematic, but I don't know. We'll see. I really like Westerns, and this is basically, it's a Western. This is Moccasin Trail, and this is by Eloise Jarvis McGraw. And this is basically a story about a man who, or a young boy, I guess by this time he's a young man, maybe late teens or something. He has lived for 6 years as a Crow Indian, and I guess he learns that his 2 younger brothers and sister are journeying west to Oregon, and I love pioneer stories. I love Oregon Trail. I actually have ancestors who came over on the Oregon Trail, and so it's really interesting to me to learn about that. I love, like, anything that has to do with my ancestry I'm really interested in. I also really enjoy reading Native American stories and books and learning about their culture and their people. So this one, again, like I said, it's written in the 50s, so it might be problematic. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to portray Native Americans. But basically, he finds out that his siblings are moving or traveling to Oregon on the Oregon Trail, and he feels it's his duty to join them, but they don't trust him because he'd been living as an Indian, a Native American, for 6 years. And so it basically is like they end up, I guess their youngest brother gets kidnapped, and so him and his family have to basically come to terms with each other, realize how to be a family again, even though he's been separated from them for so long and lived in such a different culture than them for so long, to kind of help them make it across to Oregon. I don't know. I guess apparently it says he deserted his family. I was thinking maybe he got kidnapped or something, but no, he actually deserted his family. Now he's coming back to his family. So, yeah, it's a Newbery Award or Newbery Honor book. I don't know if that means it won it or if it was just nominated. I'm not sure. But again, it was written in the 50s. So we'll see how well it's held up, if at all. It was written in 1952. This specific copy was written in, or is published in 1980, but the book itself, or the story, was written in 1952. So I would be very interested in reading this and seeing kind of where it leads and you know, that kind of thing. I loved these kind of books when I was a kid. Like, I was obsessed with Native American stories when I was a child. So, and Westerns and that kind of thing. And I never have, even when I was younger, I didn't really understand. I never liked stories that put Native people as like villains and bad guys, because they're not. So I'm hoping that this one doesn't. But I don't know. We'll see. Next is another like middle grade young adult book that I saw it, and I'm telling you, like, if this book would have came out when I was a kid, I would have devoured the entire series, the entire like world that this book is in. And so when I saw it, I was like, you know what? It's $1. I'm gonna pick it up because it reminds me of my childhood. And that is Lone Wolf by Catherine Lasky. This is Wolves of the Beyond, book 1. And it actually says, return to the world of Guardians of Bookhaul. So I'm guessing it's a spin-off series. Never heard of that. This was written in 2010. I was a junior in college in 2010. So I wasn't reading these type of books. But this legit was the type of book that I read when I was in grade school. I devoured animal books. I loved them so much. And so I saw this and I thought it was super cute. It's basically about a pup or a female wolf who gives birth to a pup who is disabled. He has twisted paw, and I guess in the pack, one of the rules is the weak is not like allowed to live because it weakens the whole pack, and so he's left to die in the wilderness, but he survives. And so it's the pup's story of how he survives alone in the wilderness. And again, I just, it's so reminiscent of the kind of books that I read when I was a kid, that I saw it and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna get it. It's a book, why not? But now I really want to go in and find out what world that these books take place in, so I can read the world. This next one I found interesting. Like, normally not a book that I would pick up, but the cover intrigued me so much, and you might be able to know why. I mean, guys, look at how cute that is. So this is called Small as an Elephant by Jennifer Richard Jacobson. Basically, this book, it's a middle grade book, and this boy named Jack, he wakes up on the first morning of a camping trip with his mom in Akata, I think it's pronounced, National Park, and his mom's gone. Like, she's just gone. And apparently, though, this is not the first time his mom has disappeared, but it's the first time, so it's not the first time his mom has disappeared, and he knows it's up to him to figure out what happened to her. Basically, it says it's up to him to find her before someone separates them forever, or someone figures out what happened and separates them forever. But finding his mom in the state of Maine isn't the same as finding her in the neighborhood back in Boston. While Jack searches the places they plan to visit with nothing but a small plastic elephant to keep him company, a dark thought plagues him. Once he finds his mom, will he be able to forgive her? Now, again, I think I say again, but I don't know if I mentioned it in this video, I'm not a contemporary reader. This sounds a bit more contemporary than what I would normally pick up, but it is intriguing. It's got an elephant on the cover. Literally, that's why I picked this up. And I was like, oh my gosh, the title and the cover are the best. So that's why I picked it up. But I gotta be honest, it did sound intriguing. And again, he's kind of lost in the wilderness type of thing. And I don't know, apparently this is an indie book, maybe? It says an indie next list selection, a Parents' Choice Gold Award winner. So I think it's gonna be an emotional book. And it might be, I don't know. My dad actually grew up in and out of foster care when he was a kid. So I'm thinking this might have reminiscence of his childhood in this. I don't know. We'll see. Might be kind of hard-hitting. But I'm really curious to see whether or not it's something I like, since I normally don't read this type of book. Alright, on to books that I do read, normally. We have Tandon, I think that's what this is called, let me see. Tandon, and this is by Anna Jarzab. Okay, sorry, I can't pronounce your name. But it's basically a book, it's the first in a series, never heard of this series, but it has to do, it's like sci-fi, it has to do with parallel universes. and apparently she's been kidnapped so she can impersonate a princess who vanished on the eve of her estranged marriage. If she pulls it off, she'll go home. If she doesn't, she's trapped in another girl's life forever. So that sounds pretty interesting. I mean, I think it might be a little bit more romance heavy, and I'm not huge on romance heavy books. But the sci-fi aspect of like multiple worlds, multiple dimensions really interested me. And it's the first in the series, so usually, like I said earlier, I prefer to get the whole series, but they didn't have any other books in the series at that Goodwill. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it, see what I think. If I like it, I'll have to find the rest of the series super cheap at my library or something to continue reading this book. Then we have this absolute stunner of a book. This is Before She Ignites, and this is by Jodi Meadows. But I mean, whoa, look at that, amazing. All it says, I shouldn't have told the truth, but I did. So basically, it is, let's see, before. So this girl, Maria, is a hope bearer. And I guess she's been like this, she's super important, special person since the day she was born. She's like the most important person in this world. But she doesn't feel that she's never felt perfect. She counts compulsively and struggles with crippling anxiety. And she's far too interested in dragons for a girl of her station. So it sounds like disability rep, which I'm really stoked about. And actually, I'm taking part in the disability readathon this month. So I'm like, hey, this is awesome. And then it says after, so it's like before and after. But anyways, I guess she finds out a secret, and she's betrayed by people that she spent her whole life serving. And then there's like a cruel guard who would do anything to discover the secret. She's protected, or she would die to protect. Blah, 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 I can't talk. And I'm guessing they fall in love because, you know, it's probably an enemies to lovers because it's kind of YA. I mean, they're kind of predictable in that sense, but it does sound really interesting. It does sound like it has disability rep, which I am super, super interested in about because I haven't read a lot of books disability rep, and I'm definitely looking for more of them. So when I saw this at Goodwill, I was just like, yep, I'm getting this book. Okay guys, we finally made it to the last two books of this video. The last two books of this video. It's gonna be over an hour. I know it already. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the next book I picked up, this is Treasure Island, and this is by Robert Louis Stevenson, and I debated getting this copy or not. It's a hardback, and it's interesting. It's kind of like old looking, but for one, it was half off, so I got that, and it's got deckled edges. It's kind of cool. But the main reason I picked up the specific edition is because if you look on the spine, I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but it says Portland House Classics. I'm from Portland, Oregon. So like, yes, I had to get this. It was a specific edition, you know, printed in Portland. So obviously I had to get it. I don't think I've ever actually read Treasure Island. I know the storyline. I've seen, you know, Muppets Treasure Island is like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. And I do actually have a sequel. I don't know if it's written by the author or if someone else wrote the sequel kind of thing. But when I saw this, I was like, you know, I wasn't going to get one hardback because the sequel that I have is paperback and all that. And it's obviously an older edition. Let me see if I can figure out when this edition was printed. Oh no, it was printed in 2001. So it's not as old as it looks, but I guess it's made to look old. So, I don't know. But it looks kind of piratey to me. It's got deckled edges and stuff, and the pages are a little yellowed. And I mean, that could be from age and just stuff, but I don't know. It looks interesting. And so I picked it up because I'm like, I never actually read the story. I should read the story. Plus, it's gonna look awesome on my shelf. And it's a Portland House Classic. I'm from Portland, Oregon. What more do I have to say? Alright, I went on to the last book. We finally made it. I finally made it to the last book of this video. This one, I'm so excited for this book. Never heard of it before, but the second I saw it, I was like, I have a book. Like, my book. I didn't even have to read the synopsis. The synopsis obviously made me like want it more, but I legit would have picked this up literally just for the cover and for the title, and that is The Dog Master by W. Bruce Cameron. Look at how gorgeous this book is, you guys. Look at the back, the spine, like the end papers. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, anyways, this book is all about how, well, it's a fictional tale of the first dog. So the very first, oh yeah, a novel of the first dog. It's basically a tale of how man domesticated dog. And oh my word, I am so beyond excited for this. I'm going to bawl. I know that already because I've always cried at animal books, like dog books. I'm pretty sure it's going to be sad. It's just the matter of things. But in 2019, I lost my dog very suddenly and tragically, and I've dealt with a lot of trauma from that experience. And so this is going to be one of those books that I might not read for a while because it might be way too triggering. But we'll see. I guess this author, I don't think I've ever heard of him before, but I guess he writes books about dogs. And I'm like, what? That's so cool. So he wrote A Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Journey, and The Dog's Christmas. And of course he has a picture of him and his dog. Like, come on now. Come on now. Can you be more perfect than that? Plus the book is just beautiful. And I'm sure the story inside is beautiful. And it's all about, you know, like I said, the first dog. And it says, set against the most dramatic time in our species' history, the Dog Master tells the story of one tribe's struggle for survival and one extraordinary man's bond with a wolf. A friendship that changed mankind forever. And I love these type of stories. Like White Fang, one of my favorite stories when I was a kid. Call the Wild, I love that book as well. But like wolves, obviously you might have told from, you know, from this book. I love wolf stories. I love dog stories. I don't read a lot of contemporary dog stories because, like Marley and Me, because I know how it ends and I'm not putting myself through that torture. I don't care how cute of a book it is or how cute of a story it is. I'm not. But I love dog stories. I love wolf stories in particular. And so when I found this book, I was just like, that's it. This is my book. Even if I never read it because of trauma, I'm going to showcase it because it's freaking gorgeous. I will read it eventually. But yeah. Alright guys. That's my haul. Did you stick with me? Are you still here? If you're still here, let's see. Put a turtle emoji. Put a turtle emoji in the comments. For my little... It's actually a tortoise, but hey, turtle or tortoise, whatever you want to put it in the comments. Yeah, that's it. That's my book haul. Thank you so much for joining me. Wow, my back hurts from sitting on the floor. So many books. I'm not going to count this right now, but you'll see by the title in the description of this video. Yeah, that's what this is. The title of the video, how many books I hauled, and yes, I will hopefully do, well, I don't plan on getting any more books for a while except for the books I've pre-ordered, but when I do another book haul, it's not going to be so many gosh dang books, because if I do end up getting a chunk of books at a time, I'll just do a book haul right then, because this is literally from January to April. A lot of books. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining me. Again, put a turtle/tortoise emoji in the comments. And subscribe to my channel if you like long videos and you want to hear more about me and my thoughts on these books. Thoughts on any of these books that are on my shelf. And look forward to more videos coming soon. Thanks guys. Bye.